People probably do need to wake up, but they also need to sleep. And the question is whether we should have a digital detox. Maybe that would help us sleep. Tech Up Dave is in the studio. And we're going to talk about this with a couple of experts in a second.
Oh dear.
But, you horrified me earlier by saying that you sometimes sleep with your phone on the pillow beside you.
Not by design, it's just I fall asleep reading it.
You fall asleep reading it, so you don't actually put it outside the bedroom or anything?
No,
I just keep it there.
Sort of read there, and next thing I know is I wake up and it's sort of lying next to me.
I have it on the bedside table, but I would in theory put it outside the room, but what happens if there's a reshuffle? And what happens if
exactly.
Especially this week. Anyway, let's talk to Camelin Kaur and Arnie Barsgaard Mathiasen. Camelin is a psychotherapist and anxiety expert, and Arnie is the owner of Dumb Phone, an educator on digital well-being. Thank you both very much indeed for joining me on the programme today. Camelin, maybe you could tell us how much anxiety we are having because of our digital devices.
Well, a lot, actually, because if you think about going on your screens, it usually involves being on social media of some sort of a social media platform. The standards that we're upheld on social media, the perfectionism, the strive to succeed, the desire to be in a certain way or live a certain lifestyle, this all puts tremendous pressure on individuals that are watching things on social media. It gives you a false illusion of what life is actually like, when we all know that social media isn't always an accurate depiction of the world. Now, when you're watching social media and you're watching social media content, or you're on your screens and you're watching these idealistic lifestyles, it can create a lot of anxiety. It can also create a lot of low mood, but it can also create a lot of feelings of isolation and inadequacy as well. So to answer your question, Peter, yes, it has a massive impact on mental health.
But it also connects us to people. It also, phones are a good thing. They allow us to do all sorts of things that we didn't do previously, although I do sometimes worry that, the sum of human knowledge is in this phone and I can access it, the one I have in my hand at the moment. Yet I generally just look at cat pictures. But Arnie, you have done, I think, a digital detox yourself. Talk us through what you did.
Yeah, it was actually by coincidence that it happened. I think it was 4 years ago that my smartphone broke, and I just had to find a temporary solution and to get in normal communication with people. And that turned out to be like an old-fashioned phone I had lying in a drawer somewhere. And I started using that, and then I noticed that it had a pretty significant impact on my anxiety level. I'm also not saying that I had anxiety at this point, so that was why I was, of course, noticing quite well how my anxiety level was, and it truly had a pretty significant impact on the anxiety level.
And what lessons did you learn from that? Did you decide maybe to give it a bit of a break what do you do now that's sort of related to that period, Arnie?
Yeah, I chose to continue with using an old-fashioned phone, but then I do this combination of I have an old-fashioned phone that I'm using for regular calls, and then I have a tablet that I'm using for mobile, payment services and map services and so on. And the nice thing about this solution is that it makes it possible to leave the tablet somewhere else. You can do the same with a smartphone. You can kind of remove the phone part out of the smartphone and then move that into a dumb phone, and what you're left with is a mini tablet. And the mini tablet, you mentioned, in the bathroom, is 100 times easier to leave a mini tablet outside in your entrance than it is to leave a phone in the entrance, because you want to know that you can receive an important phone call.
Yes, it is interesting actually on that side of things. That's maybe not a bad idea. Should we get back to the bricks, back to the dumb phones as they're called, Camelin?
Well, we don't need to go back to the dumb phones to be able to do a digital detox. You can just have a certain day in the week, or you can have a certain time period in which maybe you're not as busy, and you can switch off your notifications. You can actually put your phone away, create a phone-free zone. So you don't need to actually have a brick phone to be able to do a digital detox. But of course, if you do, that always helps.
Sorry to interrupt you, Camelin, but there are some people, I declare my interest here, I'm really worried that there's going to be a reshuffle this week. It would be unthinkable for me not to have my phone nearby, because I'll get a phone call saying, get to Downing Street, there's a reshuffle happening, if it in fact happens this week. And it's not just journalists. There are lots of people who really feel that they can't not be connected. Do you have sympathy for them, Camelin?
Yeah, I absolutely do, because I'm a business owner myself and I have therapy clients constantly getting in touch with me. So I know that pressure of not having connectivity to your phone. And I understand that there's this FOMO feeling, isn't it? The fear of missing out on something. But the key to having a digital detox is to let people know around you that that's what you're going to be doing, that you won't have access to your phone, you won't be able to access notifications. If it's an emergency or if it's something that cannot wait, then to call you, because then at least you're not having to be constantly on edge with notifications. You know that if it's a life or death matter, if it's something that can't wait, if it's something that's urgent, the person has a way of contacting you.
So I should
have to be on edge with notifications.
I should Snapchat Rishi Sunak and say, look, Rishi, you need to give me a ring if you're going to have a reshuffle, okay? That's what's got to happen.
You totally should.
Arnie, it's really interesting that you're an educator in digital well-being. What other tips do you give people to try to take back control, as someone once said?
Yeah, like what I do in Denmark is that I make experiments on schools where I give them a 10-day experience where all of them are switching from their smartphones to a dumb phone for 10 days. And my advice for going into this period is very similar to what we heard before, like about mentioning to your friends that there will be a period where they will have to contact you on the phone. And there's also like you have to prepare about like it's a different way of looking, especially if you're doing this middle thing where you're keeping your tablet or keeping your smartphone as a tablet. You have to start thinking of it as a tablet as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Jane has been in touch on text. She says a digital detox is a great idea. An app for everything. Society needs to change. Also stop tapping on the phone and start paying with cash as well. What age, Arnie, do you think that kids should have smartphones at or not have smartphones? I mean, there are many schools now, increasing number of secondary schools, where phones are completely banned the whole day through. Maybe some workplaces should have that as well. Arnie, what do you think of that?
I think there's a pretty good opportunity to actually to postpone the date or the year that smartphone becomes a thing, like a thing that all kids have in schools, and that could be done. Like it seems to me like when the parents are thinking of giving their kids a phone, they instantly think of a smartphone, but it's actually doable to live with a dumb phone, especially when you're that young. And I think if that became more mainstream, that maybe kids who are 9 or 8 years old, that the first phone they're getting is a feature phone, what I call a dumb phone. I think
I know you're speaking to us from Denmark. Is the attitude a little bit different in Denmark to how it is in the rest of the world, especially here in the UK? I mean, generally amongst people I know, and please feel free to contact me if you think I'm wrong, the general way that I see things happening amongst friends of kids and just people in my sort of social circle is that kids at primary school, up to the age of sort of 11 or 12, don't usually have phones, but then there is this huge pressure, of course, for kids on the way up. Is that similar in Denmark?
It is probably the same. Like in Denmark, I've heard that it's the tipping point is from third grade in elementary school to fourth grade. So in third grade, it seems like I've heard from teachers that there's no kids who are having a smartphone, and then in fourth grade suddenly it becomes a thing, and it almost is like a wave. Like when the first couple of kids in school is getting one, of course all of the other kids want the phone as well. Yeah, so that is a point where it's important to step in and maybe go together as parents in a classroom and maybe discuss, should we give our kids a feature phone, like a dumb phone, for maybe 3 years and see whether we can postpone the date where the smartphone becomes a big thing in the classroom.
Cameron, thank you, Arnie. Cameron, just finally, talk to Tech Up Dave. He is here. He falls asleep with his phone on his pillow sometimes. Tick him off, Cameron, and tell him what he should do.
I think he should actually leave his phone or digital device outside, but also maybe have a cutoff time where if you're going to be watching something on your screen, you know that there's a certain specific space of time that you're going to be watching it, and then you actually switch that off, because the blue light that's going to be emitted from your screen is actually going to affect and interrupt your sleep patterns as well. So it's definitely in your best interest to actually maybe find a way to switch off before you fall asleep.
Are you gonna take our advice, Dave?
Well, I've just seen them laughing about sleep patterns, because everybody knows around here I do early breakfast 3 days a week, weekends on daytime.
What time are you in when you do early breakfast?
So my alarm's set for 1:30.
Lovely.
I get
Excellent.
up at 1:30 and I'm here by 3.
Wow.
So I can sort everything out.
You're a martyr. My goodness. Cameron Kerr, who is a psychotherapist and anxiety expert. Thank you, as Arnie Bangsgaard Mathiasen, who's the owner of Dumbphone, an educator of digital well-being. My goodness. Dave, what a day. What a day. Yes. I had a bit of a headache earlier, by the way, and Tech Up Dave very kindly gave me some paracetamol. And Dave, I'm slightly perturbed by this, because you know I have a very tidy mind.
Yes.
You've got 2 blister packs, and one of them has 6 of them gone and 2 left, and the other has 4 of them gone and 4 left. Why don't you finish one blister pack before using the other blister pack?
I've remembered
crazy man.
why.
You monster.
Because I gave a full blister pack to one of the other presenters.
Oh, right.
Some paracetamol.
Are you just the sort of you're the drug dealer?
Well, I wouldn't quite put it that way.
Of paracetamol, yes. Anyway, my goodness. Well, one thing that certainly calms down my anxiety, and indeed is nothing like a headache at all, is my cat, Jack. And now it is time for Cat of the Week.
It's Cardi B's Cat of the Week.
Now, we didn't have Cat of the Week yesterday because it was a slightly different show. I was in the TV studio. It was a 5-hour rolling coverage of everything that went on. So we have both Cat of the Week and Rescue Animal of the Week today. Tell us about the Cat of the Week, George.
Cat of the Week, George, has been nominated by cat dad Martin McKendry. We don't know an awful lot, other than to say that this is big boy George, the feral cat that we took in when he was just a few weeks old. We're happy to say he's coming up to 7 human years with our family.
Wonderful. Well, we can see
George
on the screen. He's with a little cuddly toy there. Beautiful black cat, not unlike Jack, looking absolutely lovely there. So George is the Cat of the Week. But we also have a Rescue Animal of the Week, who also happens to be a cat. Let's do Rescue Animal of the Week.
It's Cardi B's Rescue Animal of the Week.
So who is the rescue animal of the week, Dave? Because the only criteria for a rescue animal is that you have to be rescued from a shelter, and we have a cat this week. Sometimes we have dogs, but we have a cat. We have 2 cats. So tell us about Peaches.
This is Peaches the cat, who's been nominated by cat mum Julianne, who's always horsing around, apparently.
Is Julianne always horsing around, or is Peaches always horsing around?
Julianne is.
Oh, right, is she?
Anyway, Peaches the cat rescued him as a kitten at 5 weeks old. They thought Peaches was a girl,
right,
and hence his name.
Okay.
But when they went to have him neutered, the vet discovered, or the vet did question whether he wanted it spayed. So yes.
In the last photo, we can see, if you can't see the photos on the screen because you're listening on Talk Radio, we will tweet them out at Peter Cardwell. We'll tweet them out after the show. And in the last photo, Peaches is apparently waiting for Cardi B's show to start with bated sleepiness. I love it. I've never quite heard that phrase before. Well, and actually, just briefly, Dave, I want you to tell us about a lion sparking panic on the streets after escaping from the circus.
Oh, I thought you were going to say about a lost cat.
No.
Well, this is a lost cat.
It's just a very big cat.
It just escaped from a
circus, I think.
Circus, yes, circus near Rome. When the mayor tweeted out last night, could all the residents stay inside? I think we've got some video to show you of this cat prowling through the dark and deserted streets of an Italian seaside town near Rome. There it is on screen.
Apparently it's now been sedated and captured.
Yes.
And someone who we have captured but ever needs to be sedated is, of course, Nick Dubois. That was a seamless link.
It was a brilliant link. I'm so thrilled. How are you?
I'm very well.
Do you know, between us, we did 9 hours. That's virtually all the daylight hours.
Wow. Dave, thank you very, very much indeed. Tech Up Dave, and indeed Nick Dubois, who's here between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Thank you to him. Thanks also to Chris Jacobs, my fabulous new producer, Damien Smith, assistant producer. Tech Up Dave, of course, has been the technical operator. Nea Suravanshi, the visual producer. Ayabel Fares, who has been the video editor, and Phil Dave has been the weekend editor as well. So thank you to all of them.
Talk TV's Common Sense Weekend just got remixed. We've added twice as much Cardi B to your TV. Yes, your Sundays now come with added Peter Cardwell, exclusive interviews, the latest news, and of course, your views. That's Peter Cardwell, every Saturday and now every Sunday, 10 till 1 on Talk TV. If you're thinking about it, we're talking about it.